We be live! Yay!
We're here.
We're here. Wow, we already have questions. Amazing. Usually we have to wait a little bit until we have questions. But we
They're
already
ready.
have questions.
They're coming in hot. Um,
I see you made Ghost Bunny an admin, Suze.
yes, I
You
did.
good. Good thinking. I'm actually. I don't know why I'd never thought about it. Yeah, sorry, Ghost Bunny. We should have made you an admin a long time ago. Yes. So who's
Today,
an
it just
admin?
felt
Yes. Yes.
right. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
um, Coming in with the first question
Mm-hmm.
on behalf of Trails. When are
Mm-hmm.
we Europeans getting some love? Because right now, if I tune in live, my sleep routine commits harikari. Um,
Well,
seppuku, ritualized suicide. um,
yeah. Well, but here's the thing. I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna do streams without Susie. Okay. I'm just not gonna do streams without Susie. It just doesn't make sense. It's not fun, and I don't want to do streams alone. And Susie works, full time, another job, and she can't stay up late at night. However, if once, not if, once we get to a point where we could hire Susie full time, I don't know at what Patreon count do you think we could get Susie? Right now we're at 300. Wait, how many patrons do we have right now? We're at 391 today. Amazing. Yeah.
Whoa!
Yes. I think once we get to 1,000 patrons, we could hire you full time. Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think once we have Susie working AR full time, then she could be up with me at any hour, right? Yeah. Do you think that's a safe bet? Okay, we're not promising anything 100% because I don't want to make promises that we can't keep, but I suspect that at that point we're going to be able to do streams at any hour. Is that fine? Is that fair to say?
I mean, it's obviously way more flexible.
We're going to be more flexible, yeah.
If I don't have other
So,
things that, would mess up sleeping. I've been promoted.
all right. I think that's a fair response. All right, what's the next question? Wait, hold on. Mindy is saying that sounds impossible. What do you mean that sounds impossible? We went from 100 patrons. Okay, guys, it took us a decade to go from 0 to 100 patrons, and it took us only a few months to go from 100 to now almost 400. And we're growing really fast on Patreon. I don't think that's impossible. I think I'm very optimistic about. I mean, it might take a long time, but I think we're heading there. I think we're gonna eventually hit one day to 1,000 patrons. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I mean, it also depends on other sources of revenue like monetization.
No.
And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Kenji is saying, Shekya Susie.
Oh wait. Before you say that, by the way, guys, if you want to help us get there, link to our Patreon is in the description. Try to help become a patron today and help us get there. But anyways, go on.
What is your favorite Islamic topic to learn about? For example, my favorite topic is jinn, and my least favorite topic is tajweed. Right now, I'm just very into learning about Shiism in general.
Really?
It's very interesting to me.
We should do more gen stuff.
Specifically, like the Shirazi Shias are very interesting. Yeah, sectarian differences is very interesting to me. At some point, I just want to get into like learning about like rukia because that has to do with jinn. That's fascinating and weird and dangerous. Yeah.
Kenji, can you send us some stuff about? I've been looking into like gen related stuff. We should cover more topics on gens. And in what I'm fascinated about is to find a good source about Judo-Islamic lore, right?
Mm.
And and also I read this story about some demons in Judaism that came from Zoroastrianism.
Was that video we
I
were watching the other day, the
no,
esoteric?
I can't find it. I can't find where I think it was a Talmudic story or something like that. Somebody have to tell me where to find this. But it was about Jews living in Persia and them looking at some of the myth from Zoroastrian mythology turning into demons in Judaism because of them being exposed to Zoroastrian ideology. It was fascinating, and I can't find where I read that. I want to find more of these mix. One thing I find fascinating is ideologies when they have different origins and all of a sudden they come in contact and then they like influence each other, right? I mean, the whole idea of heaven and hell and angels could be because Jews being exiled into Babylon, and then Persians coming and taking over Babylon, and then Jews being exposed to Zoroastrian ideas, the idea of an afterlife, the idea of angel-like beings, the idea of binary good versus bad world, right? Dualistic world like that. The fact that right now in the world, the mainstream understanding of how the world works based on the Abrahamic religions comes from the Jewish could possibly be, again, I'm not 100% certain, because of Jews being exposed to Persian ideas. That fascinates me. Okay, and the same way, if mythology, that's the most interesting thing in mythology for me. Like, one thing that I can't find more material on, which frustrates me right now, is content about why Zoroastrianism and Hinduism seems to be mirror images of each other when it comes to the language they use about certain topics, right? So, for example, Dev
Mm-hmm.
are demons in Persian, and yet they are holy angelic beings in Hinduism.
Yeah,
And that's
Devis.
Devis, and that's where the word divine comes from, or divinity, right? Divinity and divine is Dev in Persian, which is demon in Persian, right? And then Ashura. Wait, was it?
Ashura.
Yeah, Ashura, but in Persian, I think it's something else, like Asuras. Like, those are divine beings in Persian, and they're demons in Hinduism.
I
What was
mean,
that?
it kind of makes sense, like, to,
What was the other thing?
I don't know.
There was another thing that was mirror. Is Katie here? Where's our encyclopedia? Our
Our local
our local,
knowledge.
yeah. There was some other things that Hinduism and Zoroastrianism are mirror images of each other, and it's so freaking fascinating. Anyways, next question.
Which intellectual thinkers do you admire / used to admire have lost it lately, according to you? Majid, meaning Majid Nawaz. Well, I don't
So
think
just
Armin really ever admired Majid.
wait. So just saying that Majid was an okay. The most
That's what he's most upset.
No, I'm actually amazing that you think Majid was an intellectual. Majid was an activist, Okay, maybe a good activist at some point, a bad activist, but an intellectual. He never was an intellectual. Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, what did anybody consider? Like, why would anybody consider Magic to be an intellectual? I don't understand.
People
But
definitely
anyways,
did. I mean, he was propped up by Sam Harris and had that whole Islam in the Future of
you could be
Tolerance,
propped up.
with
You could be
the
propped out by.
documentary and everything.
You could be propped up by Sam Harris as an activist, but not as an intellectual.
Yeah, I think that endorsement lent him seemingly a lot of credibility in that way. Plus, he had the Quilliam Foundation or Institute.
Right. No, he never said anything that would make him. I don't know. Intellectual. Who's an intellectual you admire, used to admire, and have lost it lately? According to you, you go first. I have to think about this.
I mean, I still do admire Matt Dillahunty in a lot of ways, but some of his behavior recently I don't think is conducive.
Yeah, I still admire Matt Dillahunty, even though he hates me. I admire him. I do think people have personal frustrations that they cannot help, right? And them having these personal issues and frustrations doesn't mean that they're not an intellectual, right? Mm-hmm. Matt Dillahunty is definitely still up there for me.
Oh yeah.
Wait, let me think. I know. No, I don't know. Wait, can anybody suggest me? Can you give me some suggestions? I don't know. Who do I... Anybody that I'm thinking of, I never considered an intellectual.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first one that came to mind for me. But more just on, for personal reasons than actually, I mean, I do have some intellectual disagreements with him, but nothing that would make me completely lose admiration for the other things that I appreciate and respect and admire. And
I can't think of a single person right now. Sorry.
Yeah, everyone I'm thinking of is mostly activists.
You know why I can't think of anybody? Is because all the people that other people are realizing that they're not intellectuals, I knew it from the very get-go. I was like, what are you guys what are you guys seeing in this? Like, I don't know,
like you and Dave Rubin?
Yeah, like
that
people were like
legendary secular jihadists episode.
No, like Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, from the very get-go, I was like, what, you guys think this? Like, here's the thing, here's an interesting thing. Jordan Peterson is the exact opposite of Matt Dillahunty. You know why? Because
he's really nice in person.
Yes, because Matt Dillahunty seems to be an a-hole recently, even though he's an a-hole, and personally he's still an intellectual, definitely an intellectual, even though he's not a nice person.
Okay? Lately, it doesn't seem that way. I don't know. I'd still like to meet him one day.
Yeah. On the other hand, Jordan Peterson is definitely not an intellectual in my books, right? Well, objectively not an intellectual. However, one of the nicest people you could ever talk to. Anyways. Right.
Let's go. Do you think Islam restricts secular and philosophical thought more than other religions? Ex-Muslim here. Well, hi. I think this is a little bit difficult. More than other religions. To the extent that there actually is the belief that the Quran is, the preserved, perfect word of God. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that the Bible is that. There are a lot of aspects of Christianity that are authoritarian and dogmatic, but they don't have that, which is a unique obstacle in allowing free thought. It's a unique obstacle in allowing doubt, criticism, curiosity, all that stuff. So in that sense, I think that is one aspect as to why it does restrict a lot of different things more than other religions.
Mhm.
I mean, there are other like small cults and stuff I know of where there's a very clear, obvious doctrine that this cannot be questioned because it's in the text, you
Mm.
know, but not major religions off the top of my head. It might be a belief, like it's a believed for a long time that the Bible was the perfect word of God or whatever, but that's not actually in the text where you can point to that and, you know.
Right. So my response will be yes, for sure. Obvious. It's definitely yes. Islam restricts more. However, that doesn't mean that it wasn't attempted and that it didn't happen. Okay. However, it's more difficult because both when it comes to the original scripture, the main founding scripture, which is the Quran and the Hadith, especially the Quran, it has more than any other religion that I know of built it within it, um, challenging any form of innovation or it basically it's a very no other document that I think of has so explicitly come out and says like warned people of being careful of other people who try to change the text or suggest something, innovate it or reform it or modernize it or any way, right? However, and also when it comes to the most mainstream versions of Islam, right? When it comes to the mainstream Sunni Islamic schools of thought, for example, the 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 reaction to bid'ah, the reaction to that has won over every other school of thought, right? I mean, the Asharis, the Ibn Taymiyans, all those people, right? However, that doesn't mean that is even though that is true, Islam is the most resistant to outside of influence. That doesn't mean there hasn't been outside influence.
Oh, of course.
Hellenistic, Aristotelian, Platonic ideas has been a major source of influence. Mysticism, influenced by Hinduism, Christian mystics, has been a major source of influence. Islam, as we know it today, is more of a product of people like Ghazali than Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah, and I don't know the Shia version of it, of the Safavid Empire, than Muhammad. If I say a Muhammad, but I mean Abdul Malik, could ever have been, right. This is there is Islam is Ghazali's Islam, and Ibn Taymiyyah's Islam today is Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah's Islam than more than Muhammad's Islam. But anyways, that's it.
Yeah, so right here I have what is known as the seminal text on what we now call brainwashing or mind control. And what you were saying, like, oh, there's more mechanisms built inside this text than other text I'm aware of that crushes like questioning and thought. In the study of brainwashing and mind control, that is called thought terminating cliches. So it's all of these exactly built in within it, where you're not allowed to question because there's a whole internal structure and internal logic about why you cannot, usually through phobia indoctrination.
But here's the thing, though. The reason why all other religions are also against outside of influence is because they're dogmatic and based on faith by nature, right?
Yeah.
So Islam has that more because it has in its blueprint warnings against innovation, but the other religions are also resistant against outside of influence because of their dogmatic nature and because they're also faith-based. So let's not dismiss how much other religions are also against this. But yeah.
Oh no, I mean that still applies. Ghost Bunny is saying, "How are you guys doing tonight? You're both looking gorgeous tonight." Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm doing good. Yeah. Where's a good question? Oh, Kenji is recommending a stream that the Tool Abdullahs did on Jin. So I'll have to look into that.
Wait, what is this? Yeah, I can find some stuff to send you. Yes, please send it on Patreon because my inbox is everywhere else is unreachable. And for what is worth, the Abdullah Samir. Okay, cool. Yes, please tell me some stuff for us to look into. We'd love to do some streams on Jen.
Ooh, this is interesting.
The channel Let's Talk Religion has a good episode on Jen. Maybe I'll review that. But yeah, go on.
Ooh, or we could do Imran Ibn Masur talking about jinn and their effect on women.
No. I want to do more.
One of my favorite videos of all time.
That's just funny. I actually want to learn the history.
Yeah. That's totally different. But
right,
that is some quality entertainment. Maghat Atheist is saying, any thoughts about alliance of the CCP and some Islamic states whose ideologies are diametrically opposed to each other?
Really depends on which.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it really depends on the country you're talking about. Are you talking about Pakistan, Iran, or Saudi Arabia? Each one of them is a 1-hour stream on its own. In fact, we are going to do an entire episode on this. Iran and CCP deal that Iran and CCP just had, $400 billion deal, 25-year deal. But by the way, this whole idea of like the hypocrisy of these Islamic countries doing deals with CCP while not acknowledging the human rights violations that China is the CCP is doing on its Muslim population. I mean, have we not already talked about that forever? Like, who doesn't? Like, it's such a easy point to make by now. Like,
I think the fact.
I mean, everybody knows this. Everybody, like, this is something that everybody acknowledges about how pathetically hypocritical these countries are. If a 1 in a millionth of this violation was happening, when Israel does that to Palestinians, these countries lose their mind because that's how they virtue signal as a way to try to pretend like they're guardians of Muslims, to try to gain sympathy as the lead. They like Turkey's government, Iran's government, Pakistan's government. They all want to try to pretend that they represent Muslims beyond just their borders and they're guardians of Muslims. Especially when it comes to Iran and Turkey, they try to gain the leadership of the Islamic world beyond their borders. So they use the Palestinian issues over and over again to signal that. And yet, when it comes to the greatest human rights violations against Muslims, possibly ever, they are like not only guys, it's not that they're just silent about it. I wish they were only silent about it. They actually congratulate China, not secretly. They officially openly congratulate China, and they officially send a letter publicly commending China over how they're dealing with terrorism. And Susan, I sent you an article. I have to check if that's true. I don't Rouhani. Like about Rouhani.
I've been looking for other sources on that thing with Rouhani, and I haven't been able to find anything in English, but you're more likely to find something about it in Farsi.
Okay, so let's not say it until we actually can confirm it. But if that is true, the hypocrisy is amazing.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, I think
Susie, like I saw the title, guys. Here's how you know we try to do our due diligence, okay? And sometimes we fail, but I saw it and I knew that this is like, oh my god, I need to, if this is true, we need to share this. But I didn't share it because it seemed like too juicy to be true. But if it is true, we'll share it with you guys, right? So I was like,
Based on the context, it seems like there would be a video recording of it,
I don't
but
know.
it wasn't included.
Yeah, we'll see. But the hypocrisy is very high. But anyways, so
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it's highly dependent. The motivations are highly dependent on the individual countries, and like just pointing out, like, oh, the human rights abuses, blah blah blah. Like, I mean, like you said, that's very obvious. I think it's more interesting the comparison between Palestine and Xinjiang.
I do want to, however, mention that I am worried about anti-Chinese racism becoming a thing by in these countries. Do you know what I mean? So as much as the governments are not only silent about it, but they're also excusing it. There's a lot of these countries, for example, in Iran,
it's more than excusing. They're making economic alliances.
Yeah, well, they need to, because they're on sanctions, and China is basically throwing them
lifesaver,
right? However, the people think like Iran is the government is selling the country out in a very bad deal to China, and as much as that could be true, I'm seeing on Iranian social media a lot of individual people who are against the government are saying some really, really nasty things against Chinese people as a whole.
Oh no.
And it's getting really bad. It's getting really bad. So guys, we need to be very careful about when this is why I keep trying to not every time I say China, I'm like every time I remember, I try to say Chinese government or the CCP, because constantly saying and over again, China is doing this, China is doing that, man. Like here, Magahat Atheist is actually pretty good. Look at this question. Magahat Atheist himself or herself is saying CCP, right? So that's actually I'm happy with that, right? So we have to be, because even if when you say China, you mean the Chinese government, constantly saying China is doing this, China is doing this, in your head, you might do a short circuit between China and Chinese people, and then you might be making excuses for hatred towards Chinese people as a whole. So when I'm careful about this that I'm talking about this, I try to mention not even Chinese government. I try to mention CCP. Okay. I think that's a better way, because you might think like, you know what? No, I know what I'm talking about. But at some point, our brain is very lazy and it makes those associations very fast without you even recognizing it.
Yeah.
So it's good to be mindful of that.
Yeah. Casey on Facebook is asking, have you guys seen the movie Batman and Jesus? The documentary, I just watched it last night. Really good stuff. It's about showing the similarities between religion and comic books. No, I haven't seen that documentary. No. But yeah, I mean, the parallels between religion and comic books is very interesting. Just in terms of like story development, archetypes. It's very similar. And that's one reason why Armin is into Marvel, is because or superheroes, because you say that they're like the modern day versions of a pantheon of gods.
I'm not into Marvel itself. As the stories, I think I'm not very interested. Okay, here's the thing. I like the world building a bit. So I don't find the stories that entertaining. I do find people's fascination with them entertaining, because I think people's fascination with them is representative of how pantheons of gods were popular back in ancient history, right? And I do try to see what is it about superheroes that people like, and is that I'm trying to figure, like, see if I could find better information about whether those desires that people have in superheroes is the same desires that led them to create pantheons of gods, right? However, when it comes to the Marvel itself, I do like I don't know, when they, the worlds that, when they don't come to our world, like I don't like it when it's New York, right? Like the old action scenes in New York and the buildings, I'm like, I could fall asleep watching that. But when Thor is in Valhalla, I'm like, can you just make an entire movie just there? Because even if I just want to see, I would watch a 4-hour movie of nothing happening, but just like people just walking in Valhalla and just checking things out. You know what I mean? Like a Marvel version of Valhalla, like with all that beautiful, world and everything. And there's nothing happening. There's no plot. Nobody's fighting anybody. Somebody's just buying stuff. Somebody's just going and buying vegetables in Valhalla, something. I don't know, right? I will watch that. Anyways.
Bring me grocery shopping in Valhalla.
Yes. I played Assassin's Creed not because of the goddamn missions. I just wanted to watch the world. Like I just had to. Doing the missions was a frustration for me. Like I didn't want to do the missions. I just had to finish the missions so I could go see the next world. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to be able to walk in the next world. Anyways.
What are some good questions? Please comment on the alarming actions in France against the civil rights of Muslims, such as banning hijab for women under 18 and not allowing Muslims to request doctors based on gender. Well, we're going to be covering this on the news on Saturday, actually.
Right.
So I think I'm going to comment on it then.
The way you're phrasing it, it seems like it's ridiculous, but I don't know if that is the accurate way of. So I'm gonna wait until the news is being covered this weekend because it's already in one of our 10 news, right? So
yes.
So I'm gonna basically figure out exactly what is happening because every side is phrasing this maybe the way that is fits their agenda. However, it might be just as bad as you're describing it. Well, banning hijab for women under 18 in public. Again, I don't know what you're saying. If it's in school, I think it's justified. If it's the same for every religion and any other political ideology or everything like that. But if it's in public, I think
I know in one instance, like mothers who are chaperoning school, what do you call it when your school goes on a trip to see something? Yeah, chaperoning a school trip, day out or whatever, field trip. Mothers doing that, they're not allowed to wear a hijab while they're doing a school activity. That's one aspect of it.
Yeah, that is that. This is getting a bit too Orwellian.
Yeah.
Like again, we have to be able to, there's certain situation where I'm okay with it if religious privilege is being taken away, but if the government is getting like too involved in what people can do and can't do, I mean, there is maybe you could make the justification for maybe very young girls, like I don't know, like under a certain age, if hijab is being forced on them, that's child abuse. Like if I don't know, like if you're making your kids wear hijab at age 7, depriving them of sun and freedom to just walk freely, I think there might be some justification for that, for the government to be like, this is child abuse. But 18, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know if you're describing it, if what you're saying is accurate description of what's happening. So I'm just going to wait until.
Yeah, we're going to get the full details on Saturday.
Yes.
Matthew saying, what do you think about UFO cults and people who try to claim aliens and psychedelic drugs as a way used to justify people's spirituality? Well, Matthew, what do you think we think?
What do you think we think? Matthew, what do you think we think about that?
I mean, there's been the our
These are
understanding of the phenomenon of cognitive dissonance actually comes from studying UFO cults. Very interesting, from back in the 20th century. And this whole psychedelic drugs as a way to justify people's spirituality, just hearing that is making me triggered, because I'm thinking about all these dates I had to go on with guys who, when they hear that I'm do Atheist Republic, that's what they say. They're like, well, I did all these drugs and I had this experience, so I can't think that. It's like, how can you, okay, you had this crazy experience while you were under the influence of like mind altering drugs. Like, you might not think there might be like a confounding factor in that equation. Like, you know, if we're doing it in a controlled setting, like, what is the thing that's making that thing happen? It seems pretty clear to me that it's you screwing with your brain chemicals. Like,
yeah.
And this is someone who's done like psychedelic drugs and had like
Wait, we can't say
spiritual
this.
experiences.
I don't know. YouTube could be like, guys, don't do drugs are bad, okay? Like,
Yeah. I'm just
No, I'm
saying,
kidding.
like, from personal
we could get-
experience,
I know,
I'm not
but
encouraging it. In fact,
well, do you think? Okay, do you think YouTube's algorithm is clever enough to know the difference between you encouraging it or you not encouraging it? So I don't think so. Okay, so I think we should stay away from talking about that. Yeah, guys, we're not being paranoid. We just recently got a strike from telling people something to not do something, and then YouTube thought we are saying to do that thing.
mm-hmm.
And then we got a strike, and then we appealed it, and our appeal got immediately rejected. Okay, so everybody who thought that we were being paranoid about YouTube's algorithm, we have proof now that we're not being paranoid. We got a strike for the exact opposite of the thing that YouTube accused us of doing. Anyways,
That's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah.
Just other questions. Do you think religion plays some role for the violence in Mexico, such as the carteles and gangsters praying to Santa Muerte? I know a little bit about Santa Muerte, but not that much. It's, you know, kind of just like folk belief, like folk Catholicism, almost like a form of voodoo. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know how much of an influence
let's
that
move on. We
actively
don't know.
plays.
We don't know. See, guys, how honest we are. When we don't know something, we don't make stuff up. Wait. Okay, you're not picking one. I'm gonna pick one then. Have either of you lost any Muslim or Christian friends with your job, or do you still have great relationship with them if you have any?
That's a good question.
I have actually, my circle of friends have been shrunk as a whole. So I'm not a very fair person to ask, because great relationships. I have great relationships with less than 5 people as a whole.
That's actually true.
So, I mean, yeah, actually not even 5. Yeah, not even 5. So yeah, so you shouldn't ask me, because my friend list does not say anything about. Yeah, Suze, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, my circle of friends has shrunk in general.
Yeah.
I never really had like many Christian friends to begin with. Like, I'm honestly trying to think of Christian friends that I had. Like, not even since I was like 15. When I started going to a secular school. I mean, I knew Christians. So the only Christians in my life are my family. Those are the only Christians in my life. And yeah, I have good relationship.
I could say this, from the people that I have a great relationship with, if they were Muslim or Christian, that would not stop me from having a great relationship with them. How about that? Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the fact that they're not a Christian or Muslim is not the reason why I have a great relationship. I'm not having a great relationship with them because they're atheists, right? So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, Fatima's asking a good question. What's the main reason, Susanna? What's the main reason you left Christianity? Is it and the same question for you, Armin? So for me, it was more of an emotional reason at first. So basically, because I realized I wasn't straight when I was around the age of like 12 to 14, and but I still carried around a lot of guilt, and I think of it more as like I made the decision to not follow God so much as like not believing in him.
Mm.
So I still treated myself like really poorly. I still hated myself a lot, and felt guilty and denied myself a lot of stuff that would have brought me like joy, because I was still treating myself as if God existed and that I was bad for not following him. And then it actually wasn't until like the end of like 2019 when I actually sat down and thought about things from a rational perspective, like on the basis of evidence. And then that, looking at things that way, like leaving religion more rationally, helped me feel a lot better about myself too. Helped me feel a lot better about myself. So yeah, at first it was emotional reasons because of my sexuality, and then it was just because of lack of evidence.
Oh yeah, mine was history first, lack of evidence second. History and biology. History first, biology nailed it. Yes, history started making me thinking like this stuff is made up, and then biology was the nail in the coffin. Yeah, short answer. Next.
Who do you think is the best public intellectual at criticizing the woke? And who is the
We
best
are.
at criticizing the religious right?
We are.
I mean, I am biased to think we are very good at it.
Yes.
Outside of us, because I know Armin would want that stipulation. I'm kidding. I really like Glenn Lowry and Jack McWhorter. Glenn Lowry in particular is like an intellectual giant to me. Like, he's so erudite, and he is so good at expressing this outrage, but in a very crystallized form, and just being so truthful about what's going on and having just this righteous temper about it. I really like to listen to him speak on these types of things.
What about religious right? Who's the best for religious?
I think John McWhorter. He's very good at criticizing the religious right. Who else? I mean, obviously,
wait, are we talking about just for the West? Like we're talking about
presumably.
Western. This is very Western focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because religious right to me means like Hindutva.
Yeah.
That's what I think when I think religious right. Yeah.
Listening to Vosh talk about the religious right is pretty fun.
I
do
was
get a
gonna
lot of
say,
entertainment.
all right. So when I say criticizing the woke, I was actually gonna say Vosh because the most effective person to criticize the woke is somebody with an audience that needs to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
The other people are basically preaching to an audience that already is anti-woke. So I think when Vosh is anti-woke, that is, first of all, he does it very well. Second of all, he's talking to an audience that will listen to what he has to say. Same arguments coming from somebody else that is considered to be anti-SJW and anti-woke would be considered, would be met with a lot more hostility and defensiveness from the people that need to hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I think for criticizing the woke, Vosh would be my answer.
Wait, this is hilarious. So Bellatora 2 asked the same question again, but then he said, with the exception of you two. At the end.
Yeah.
Banning unscientific practices on public places, irrespective of religion or school of thought, like wearing the hijab, would that be considered unscientific or irrational belief system?
I don't understand this question at all.
Yeah.
Unscientific practices, what does that even mean?
There's so much stuff that we do in everyday life that's unscientific. Like
unscientific practices? What does that even mean? Hold on, I need to answer this.
Mm-hmm. Why are women religious when they are fully aware that religions are made by men? Are they deficient in mind? So how this is such a generalization of a question, I don't even know where to begin. Why are women religious when they are fully aware that religions are made by men? Who says that they're fully aware that religions are made by men? There are millions of people in this world who are not aware of that, or they're in denial of it, right? So are you saying there are people who are fully aware that religions are made by man and still choose to be religious? Like, I know some Christians who, are aware of, like maybe how the canon gospel was, like collected into what we now consider the Bible or the four gospels now. And they still choose to be religious, even though it's like doesn't add up at all, because they, just say, oh, well, God, put it together the way it was supposed to be, something like that. I can't get over, are they deficient in mind? No, I mean, a lot of it just has to do with like patriarchal society and the consequences of not following what is believed to be like religion is so good at controlling women, their behavior, their clothing, their reproduction, that it's a very valuable tool for that. It's useful. And so it is enforced and internalized, and they stick to it because that's what you're taught to believe makes you a good woman in your role in society. I mean, it's so useful to the point that there are atheists who are atheists and they still advocate for like Christianity because they think that it serves a good role in society, in the control of society, mostly women. Like, that's how useful it is. So it has nothing to do with women being mentally deficient.
I don't like this question because it suggests that religion is so obviously wrong that you being a woman shouldn't give you an advantage. Like, this suggests that if you're a man, you have an excuse into not realizing how stupid believing in religious in religions are. Like, why are women? Here's look at this question, right? Why
Yeah.
are women religious when they are fully aware that religions are made by men? Them being made by men, what does that mean? First of all, an idea could be completely correct even if it's all made by men. If you're a woman and you hear an idea that is made by men, you shouldn't be like, I'm anti this idea because it's made by men.
Yeah.
If it's made by men, it could be a completely correct idea that is made by men. And if you're a woman, you should be like, yeah, makes sense. I don't care if it's made by a man, but this is an idea that works. So the fact that it's made by men should have no bearing on whether your idea accepted or not. If you're saying, oh, religion is anti-woman,
Yeah.
that's why women should not accept it. Nonsense. Religion is anti-human. Okay. Yes, it's more anti-woman and more anti-gay and more anti so many other groups of people. However, being human is enough for religion to be against you. Okay, religion is anti-humanity as a whole. So yeah, being a woman shouldn't give you an advantage in recognizing if being gay or a woman or trans is giving you an advantage in recognizing that religion is wrong, then you're selfish because you care about accepting an ideology only if it hurts you.
Yeah.
You don't recognize that this ideology is damaging to people that are not you. Like if let's say religion was not harmful to the whole planet and humanity, was only harmful to women, then if you accept it because you're not a woman, then you're selfish. Or if you don't accept it only because you're a woman, then you're being selfish. Like you were like, hey, oh, if this idea was great for me, even if it's being harmful to other people, I would accept it. No. Yeah.
Do you miss the sense of community of your
Wait.
What?
Qasim, I disagree with Qasim. Qasim saying anti all minus male believers. No. Even the male believers, the people who are the believers, they are the victims of this ideology. Their time and resources and direction in life and their goals and their agendas is completely being hijacked by a false ideology. The believers themselves are the victims. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
It's all
No,
true.
I'm not sorry.
Do you miss the sense of community of your former faiths? I miss it myself. I'm an ex-Muslim. No, not even a little bit.
No,
the only thing I associate with Christianity is shame, debilitating shame, and guilt. So no, I don't miss that at all.
Okay, I don't miss it, but I don't know if that's fair, because the reason why I don't miss it is because I built it on my own. I built the world's largest community of atheists. So how could I miss that community? I made my own community, right? So I built Atheist Republic from, and look at where, we're 2,400,000 globally and growing. And it's the best community I could ever ask for. So why would look at this? We just come here, we talk to you guys about the topics that we like. This is the best thing ever, right? And we try to create this community for other people out there so that they don't have to miss a community, right? Mm-hmm. And again, Atheist Republic doesn't have to be the community. That we're not suggesting that, oh, you shouldn't miss your community because here we have Atheist Republic. No, there are many alternatives. You could come join Atheist Republic. You could join a chess club. You could join. How could you not find community? There's so many options, right? What do you like? Join the community around the people who are around the things that you like, or make one yourself, right? Like, just go, it's so easier these days than anything else, right? Just go online. What are you into? Are you into reading books? Join a goddamn book club. Are you into knitting? Join a knitting club, right? Do you like hiking? It's not only find a healthy hobby that, it's like killing two birds with one stone. Not only you're satisfying your desired need for community, you're actually creating motivation for you to do a hobby that is actually helpful to yourself. Like imagine joining a hiking community. Not only you're satisfying your desire to be part of a community, you're hiking. All right. Every time you want to satisfy your desire for community, you're walking, you're going outside and getting some exercise. You're getting like instead
Armin brings it back to his health regime once again.
and, oh, here's another thing. You missed the church. Guess what? You could go to church. Let's say you really like, you know what? I miss going to church. There's no rules in atheism, for you. Like you want to go to church, go listen. Here's the harm from religion is the belief, not the tradition. Like let's say you're in India. You really like going to temples? Guess what? You get to. You could go sit in temples. You like the food, you like the tradition, you like the music. Go there, go do all those things. You could be a cultural Jew. The harm from religion is not the traditions or the rituals, it's the belief. You could get rid of the belief and still do all of those things. There's no reason, unless you're very specific situations, right? There are ways to get your community dosage in much healthier ways than believing in superstition. But anyway.
Backbenchers. So I'm going to answer this in the first person because it makes more sense. How do I deal with the fact that my younger brother is suffering like I suffered, trying to force himself to believe in God, and I have no way of reaching him? So I would just I don't know what your family situation is like and how openly you can talk about these things, or if in any way it's dangerous for you to talk about these things. But basically just normalize doubt, normalize doubting, be questioning, make that normal and make that okay. If you ever.
But why are you trying to do that anyways? Like, I think that the harm between your relationship with your brother, if you're trying to direct him into a certain views that you like, the harm you might get from that might be, I'm not saying it is, but you have to evaluate that, might be more than actually getting him to stop believing in God. What does matter more to you? You're having a healthy relationship with your brother, or making sure your brother has the correct answer to philosophical questions, right? I mean,
I think it's more that he sees his younger brother suffering and he doesn't want to see him suffering.
Right. But again, that's why I don't know the details of the situation. So that's why I'm saying it depends. Right. But one evaluation is that, are you adding to that? Would you be adding to that suffering if you're trying to be a source of influence into directing him to a conclusion that you like? Right. Like, maybe, again, I'm not saying this is the right answer, but it's possible that one of the right answers is to let him go through that journey without you constantly annoying him about it, right? Like, I'm not saying you're annoying him, right? So because I don't know the specifics in your situation, but here's the thing: be careful if as an atheist, we have to be careful not to be too butthurt over people having the wrong answer about God compared to the wrong answer about other things. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of atheists, like, for example, if your significant other, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, if all of a sudden they have the different answer to the God question, as atheists, a lot of us get more upset than if they have the wrong answer to something else that is we completely okay with. For example, I don't know, maybe I don't know, you're a vegan and you're okay with your significant other not being a vegan. But so if you're okay with that, then why, if you're an atheist, why would you be so butthurt? Like, they could be wrong. Like, don't get so worked up over people being wrong. Even if you agree with each other on the fact that you don't believe in God and they don't believe in God, they're going to have disagreements with you on many other things. What are you going to do? Are you going to try to make sure that they have the same, they're in agreement with you on every other one?
We got to be in lockstep.
Yes, oh no, you have to, for us to have a good relationship, we have to completely agree on everything. No, just make sure if you are helping or providing any guidance to anybody you care about is because maybe they ask for it or because they're interested in talking to you. And try to prioritize your relationship with them over trying to make sure that they have the correct answer to things, right? Your emotional support, being there for them, is more important than correcting them on the things that they're wrong.
Yeah, but just
But
like just in
unless,
terms of your brother like suffering, like
yeah,
I would just say try to make like doubting and questioning more normal and okay.
yes, yeah. Actually, Suze, you're very right. Maybe like one of a very, very subtle way is to just ask them questions. Use the Socratic method. Maybe try one research that I suggest is, what's that guy's name that I can never pronounce? The guy that used the Socratic method. The guy
Anthony
that,
Magnabosco?
there we go. That
Look up
guy.
street epistemology.
Yes. It's a very good way to let
Non-confrontational.
people, non-confrontational, and it lets people just reflect on their own ideas themselves instead of you telling them what's the right way, and make them just look within instead of but also, by the way, everything I said really depends on your specific situation. Everything I said might completely be irrelevant to your situation. I didn't get much detail, right? I mean, I said like, oh, getting the right answer might not be correct. Well, I mean, if they're joining a suicide cult, it might be very important. I don't know, like it could be very important for them to not to so it really depends. But
Yeah. Selva Kumar is asking us on Twitch, on the Kardashev scale, when we become type number 1, we can control natural disasters. So after reaching to that level, can we reduce the influence of religion by the religion claiming natural disasters as an act of God's? Any thoughts?
I have no idea what this question means.
Well, I will tell you one thing. A lot of religious people would be totally against it as a means of interfering with God's will. That's not our place to do that. That's not our role, man.
Wait, what is the scale? I heard of this.
Kardashev scale? It's like a scale of like levels to humanity. So at some point we will have complete control over all energy, waste. I can't remember it exactly. We're currently
Right.
Like leaving the planet altogether.
Yeah, it's not going to be dependent on how much control we have over the universe. I think that is going to make religion irrelevant. It's going to the future that is going to make religion go away is the way we're going to have access to altering our minds and processing information. Religion is such a evolutionary is so symbiotic, or no, parasitic to our minds, that I don't think there is no way to get rid of religion unless we change the nature of how our minds operate. And when I tell people that I'm almost 100% certain that religion is going to die, is not because I think the religion is possible for religion to die, given the way the human mind operates. It's not. The reason why religion is going to die is because we are going to change how the human mind operates, right? Like, so for religion to die, humanity has to die. Humanity has to die by becoming more than just humans. Do you know what I mean? Like, humans, unfortunately, is not going to exist without religion. But don't worry, the direction that we're heading, there will be no humanity, so there will be no religion either. There will be something better.
Armin's goal. Don't worry.
Don't worry, there will be no humanity in the future.
Don't worry, children.
Yeah, I mean, technically there will be no gods to worship because we would be the gods ourselves. Yeah.
Plot twist.
We would not be worshiping. We would need somebody to worship us at that point, which would probably come in form of AI. Anyways.
Hello.
Yeah.
Um. Um.
Oh, Babylon Project is here.
Vince is here. Vince,
Yay.
I miss you, Vince.
All right, here's another question.
Would you rather live under an all are equal under God, or would you rather live based on your own genetics and gain social status accordingly?
This is a hypothetical that does not represent reality. There's no world where God is the source of equality.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like suggesting, would you rather live under a fascist that is for freedom? Would you
Yeah.
basically the question is like, would you rather live under a fascist that guarantees freedom, or live based on genetics and gain your freedom accordingly? So
But like also social status is not determined by genetics.
also equality is not something that I think is a worthy goal anyways. I am way more concerned about the worse off in society and making sure, like, I don't really care about the difference between the rich and poor. I understand that I have to care because people do care about that. The only reason why I care about the difference between rich and poor is because other people make me care about the difference between rich and poor. But if we lived in a sane world, how far away the rich are from you would be irrelevant. The only thing that would matter is how bad the situation for the worse off is and how could we get them out of there, right? Like if I
mean.
Yeah, like if I could live in a world where there is no extreme poverty, but the gap between rich and poor is extremely high, I would definitely take that over a world where there's even a small level of extreme poverty, but the difference between rich and poor is very, very low. Like equality is everywhere. Like why would we care about how far away the rich are from us, as long as we manage to get the worse off out of being extremely miserable, right? However, the reason why that doesn't work is because, again, our brains are wired in a way for us to be extremely miserable if people are extremely happier, right? So, unfortunately, that is like we can't. So people like that's not logical. It is logical for you to understand how our brain is wired, right? If you are in a hut, if you have a hut and everybody else is homeless, you feel like a king. If you have a hut and everybody else has a mansion, you feel very miserable. Okay. So given that the difference between rich and poor does affect how miserable we are, like if you have a hut, you could be extremely miserable because everybody except you has a mansion. Imagine living in a world where everybody has a mansion and you have a hut. You would be very miserable, right? But if you have a hut and everybody is homeless, you would be very, very happy in that world. Okay, in both situations, you have a hut. So because our brain is wired to think like that, unfortunately I have to care about inequality. But I wish our brain, again, we need to rewire our brains. Our brains are not wired to live in the civilized in this modern world. Anyways,
I think people need to realize that like equal outcome is impossible. It's impractical. It's utopian. I don't even think equal outcome is necessarily a good thing to strive for. There will always be discrepancies between groups through a variety of factors that are not intrinsic to those groups. And that is not always necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it is a bad thing. But yeah.
Let's do one more. How many more questions do you want to do this?
I'm very behind in the live chat, so I don't know how many questions there are.
No, don't worry about how many questions there are. How many questions you want to do?
let's do like one or two more.
Okay, let's do two more. You decide.
Where are you and Susanna from? I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, baby. 206, represent. Yes, so that's where I'm from. I'm a West Coast baby.
Yeah, I was born in Tehran, Iran. Easy question.
Easy question.
One last question. Make it a good one.
Okay, I think this is interesting. Kunal is saying, why is it that atheists and secular people aren't as politically active? Not in general, but in terms of openly stating their atheism and fighting persecution. I can understand it in certain countries, but in countries where we have substantial numbers, we could really change things. How do we mobilize more? Well, this is something we talk about a lot.
By supporting Atheist Republic. That's how you.
Yeah. Can't stand you. So why aren't they as politically active? Because a lot of many atheists or secular people see that as something that religious people do. Like, oh, I'm not trying to force my way, blah, blah, blah. Like, but that's actually shooting us, and I'm saying us broadly and generally, it's shooting us in the foot, because then that's leaving that political mobilization, that political, or the willingness to jump into politics is explicitly so for the sake of your belief or non-belief system. You're leaving that to the religious, who probably more actively want to control like what you do in your life. It's a huge problem.
Okay, but Kunal, are you saying this based on? I mean, I do get frustrated by atheists who keep saying that. Oh, why would I be involved? I thought that was religious people, and they just let religious people get the monopoly over politics and charity by saying, "Oh, why would I give money to charity? That I thought I left church so I don't have to do this, or why would I get politically involved? That seems like a religious thing to do." And these narratives helps religious people, even though they have lower numbers, manage to have so much influence over our lives because atheists decide not to, because they give the monopoly over these things to religion, right? And this is why we're seeing that even though demographically we're growing and growing, politically we're losing, right? In many places, in Israel, in Turkey, in Iran, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in United States. In United States, actually, things might actually look better soon, because Trump was such a bad, PR for religious influence.
We're going to talk about that on the news this week, actually.
Yeah,
the
okay,
allergic
cool.
reaction to religion that America's going through right now.
Yeah, so actually, so that's why religious people are very good at politics, and the fact that atheists and secularists try to keep hands off, it makes religious people with lower numbers be able to control our lives a lot more effectively. They know how to play the politics. However, the natural reaction to that is going to be at some point that the control of religious people over our lives is going to be so much, and the damage is going to be so high, that the secularists are going to come back into politics out of frustration. The atheists and secularists at some point is going to be too high. And this is what's happening in the United States. This is what's happening in Iran. But the problem is that it happens too late. It happens until people
things really take a turn.
Things really, yeah. Again, I'm not suggesting that Iran and United States are at all close in that. But people get involved in politics. Secularists and atheists get involved in politics once so many red lines have been crossed. And sometimes fixing that damage is going to take decades.
Generations.
Yeah, just like, for example, Trump electing so many Supreme Court leaders. That's not going to, just because now people are frustrated and want to correct that doesn't mean the damage is going to get fixed for a very long time.
We got Catholics all up and down our Supreme Court.
Yeah. Not just Catholics. I mean, I'm sure we're just Catholics. There are Catholics who use their ideology is influencing their decision making. Like if it, I take a secularist Catholic over an atheist who doesn't believe in secular, like who doesn't fight for secularism any day. As a politician, as an atheist activist, I would vote for a Muslim or a Christian politician with a record of fighting for secularism over an atheist politician that doesn't seem to think like that fighting for secularism is an important agenda. Yeah. All right, that was it. We're good, right?
Yeah,
that was fun. Cool. All right, let's end this here. Thank you guys, and we're gonna do this more. We're gonna do this is one of my fun things to do, doing like live Q&As with live chat. And guys, make sure you check out the Babylon Project. It was a great. Thank you. That was so sweet. Look at this. Look at the hearts. Oh, San Miguel is here.
We miss you. Hey, Miguel. How's it going, guys?
Look at this. So nice. So sweet. Cool. All right, guys. See you guys next week with another Q&A, and see you guys tomorrow, same time, for covering the news. Yay.
No, that's in 2 days.
Oh, wait. Oh, you're right. In 2 days. The day after tomorrow, same time we started live stream, we're going to, me, Susanna, and Rivka will be covering the news. See you guys there. All right, guys. Bye. Oh, subscribe to our newsletter and you get our blasphemous art for free. Link in the description. We have beautiful, beautiful blasphemous art, sexy blasphemous art that we send out for free to our newsletter subscribers. And we have new blasphemous art every single week. So subscribe and you get our blasphemous art. It's Hekmah, it's Dharma, and it's kosher. Subscribe. Bye.
Bye.